Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Now, today, I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step method to remove late payments from your credit report. And this time, I'm going to be showing you how to do this through Ryezing.com. Now, this will not require you to call the creditors. It will not require you to write a goodwill letter. This is a documentation-based approach that will focus on inaccurate reporting and inconsistent reporting across the three bureaus. Now, I've already done a few updates for 2026. The previous updates did involve the CFPB. However, last year, the CFPB funding was severely cut by nearly 50%. This happened in a July 2025 budget bill, and it significantly reduced the operating budget from roughly $785 million to $446 million. And this sparked a lot of turmoil and layoffs, and it halted enforcement action from the CFPB. However, through all of that, the CFPB is still open and you can dispute through them, but I did want to give you an alternative method in case the CFPB is no longer active. But I do want to preface this by saying platforms can change, but the rules have not changed. The way that you process a dispute will still be the exact same way. Now, on-time payment history accounts for 35% of your overall credit score. That is one of the biggest factors impacting your credit score to date, and that is the reason why we focus on getting these updated. Because, for example, like I gave this one, if you had a perfect credit score, an 850 credit score, it could potentially drop your score by 100 points just by having a single late payment, and that is significant. Not to mention that it will stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. However, the impact starts to lessen after around 2 years. So if you do want to get your late payments updated, this will be a great method for you to do so. And without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, just like our previous video, let's talk about where you're getting your credit report from. Now, my first recommendation, as always, will be annualcreditreport.com. This is the only source authorized by federal law, and that's for you to receive all 3 of your credit reports completely free, at least at the time of recording this video. You can do that once per week. Now, my other recommendation is going to be with Ryezing.com. And since this will be the tool that we're using for this dispute, just by having Ryezing, you already get that information as far as payment history. But I will say that annualcreditreport.com is the most accurate that you can possibly get. So I highly recommend still getting that, especially because it is free. Ryezing does have a tri-merge credit report that combines all your credit information from all 3 major credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It's going to be all in a single comprehensive document. It does make it easier to review your accounts and show the credit bureaus that information is inaccurate. It also has a trial option for $1, similar to what people have done with Identity IQ. So if you want it long enough to sing your disputes, then definitely go check it out, grab that. However, I think you'll find that this will be something that you'll be using long term, especially when it comes to your disputes. Either way, the goal is the same. You just want a clean, comprehensive way to review your credit reports. But if you do want to use Ryezing, because that will be the primary tool for this method to work, then I highly recommend that you check it out. There will be a link in the description for a $1 7-day trial. Then it will go to the standard price of $39.99. I'm going to be using a screenshot from Ryezing.com, and this will be from an old report. Now, once you sign into Ryezing, you'll be able to see 3 different payment histories. Now, it doesn't always show all 3, which is why I recommend using a combination of this and annualcreditreport.com. But this is really what you want to look for. Credit reporting is supposed to be accurate and consistent, but sometimes you'll look at reports just like this and you'll see where one bureau says the account was 30 days late in 1 month and then it was paid on time in a different month. So for example, on this one, it actually shows that the account was paid on time for Equifax, but for TransUnion, it shows 60 days late. That does not make any sense. So now I've got 2 different bureaus telling me 2 different stories on the same account. Now, that is insane. No matter where you're looking at this, it should be the same exact information being reported. You can't be 60 days late on one report and then somehow be paid on time on another. Now, that inconsistency that we're looking at, that is leverage. So what you're going to do is locate the late payment on the account and compare it to the reporting month by month across the bureaus. You're looking for anything that does not line up exactly the same way. Once you see the mismatch, you need to capture your proof correctly because the entire dispute is built around showing that the reporting is inconsistent. Now, when you take your screenshot or you download it from the report page, make sure that it is visible and you can actually see this. So in this example, I did a screenshot, but then I also did another screenshot and made it smaller, and then I circled it. And in the screenshot, you want to make sure that it shows the creditor's name, so it's obvious which account that you're talking about, the account number as well, the payment history grid, which is shown right here, and then ideally you want the bureaus labeled so that it's very clear and obvious what you're disputing. So if you're using a platform like Ryezing that shows all three bureaus side by side, that's perfect because it makes your evidence clear in one image. If you're using annual credit report, that's fine too. Again, it is the most accurate, but you may have to just use multiple screenshots from each bureau. And yes, it's okay for you to circle the mismatch. You can highlight it, you can mark it. The goal is to make it impossible for someone who's reviewing this information to pretend like they didn't see what you're pointing out. You're building a simple visual argument. This month being reported differently, therefore the reporting is not reliable, therefore it needs to be corrected. And then we're going to use something simple for the verbiage like this payment is being reported inconsistently compared to other consumer reporting agencies. I have reason to believe the reporting is inaccurate. Please correct the reporting to correct on-time payments. So that's what you're going to say. Now, let's say you only had this one late payment. If Equifax updates this to paid on time, the new reality is that your Equifax is completely clean. Now you can take that updated information and then send this to TransUnion and say, hey, TransUnion, they actually show for here Equifax as this month is paid on time. You're wrong. Please update this to paid never late. So when you do this over and over again, you'll eventually keep doing it until all of your late payments have been changed to paid on time. So you're essentially building a chain reaction. So step one is getting one bureau to flip. And then for step two, you can use that flip bureau as proof against the remaining bureaus and then keep getting them changed. This is one of the most effective ways to remove a late payment when the reporting doesn't match, because you're not asking them to do you a favor. You're telling them your own system is not aligning. Now, I've done this already, showing you how to do this through the CFPB. I'll probably link that video at the end of this one, but I just wanted to make sure that I showed you the process of how to do this from Ryezing.com. So let's go ahead and let's submit our dispute. So currently we are on www.ryezing.com. If you already have an account, then just scroll to the top and click on login. And of course, like I've been saying in the previous videos, depending on the time that you're watching this, it should be available in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. If you're watching this in like the very beginning of May, you may see it in like the next 2 weeks or so, but just double check, it should be there. If not, you can always come to the website and you can actually log in right here. Now, if you haven't signed up, you want to click on Get Started. You'll be asked to create your account. You'll enter your first name, last name. I would use your primary email address as well as your password and your current address. You should be at that address in the last 6 months or more. It looks for your most recent address to identify you, so that's very important. Now, when you do this, it should show your order summary as the preferred trial. That's 7 days for $1, then $39.99 per month. And then you agree and you click on Next. And once again, when you sign up, you should have the options of Google Play, App Store, or if you don't see that option yet, it will be coming, then go to login at the very top on the website. Once you do that, you will enter your username, which should be your email address, and then the password that you created upon sign up. Now, once you log in, you'll be brought to the dashboard, and the first thing that you'll want to do is look at your credit report review. You can also see the score factors here, but we're looking for let's go to negative accounts and then credit report review. And then we're going to find our account that has that late payment. All right, so I did find our account. So let's take a look at this right here. As we can see, it has an on-time payment in September of 2022, but a late payment right here, and same thing in September of 2022. So we know that this right here is an obvious inaccuracy. Both of these can't be true, as well as the same thing here with January. Like we can see, January of 2023, it's reporting paid on time, but it's also showing 60 days late. even more so here, how can this actually be paid on time and then 60 days late? So lots of inaccuracies here that we have to work with. So now let's click on Start Dispute. Now, the first thing that you're going to be asked is, have you disputed this same issue before? We have not, so we're going to put 0, and then we're going to click on Next. And then we're going to select this account is inaccurate, and then we're going to click on Next. And then we're going to leave this option, inaccurate information needs to be corrected, but let's also select the payment history rating is incorrect. Let's add that, and then we'll click on Next. And then right here it says add specific comments for the bureaus. So we can click here and paste our verbiage in there. This payment is being reported inconsistently compared to other consumer reporting agencies, and I have reason to believe the reporting is inaccurate. Please correct the reporting to reflect an on-time payment. And then let's add a few more details here. So I just added some quick verbiage here where I added TransUnion states this account was paid 60 days late in September of 2022. However, experience shows the account was paid on time. Please update this account TransUnion to reflect paid on time as the Experian report is stating. So very simple, very straightforward. Again, I know this is going to be different for you, but all you have to do is say something along those lines. Like it's very easy for you to look at your report, see that, and then add that information. And then we can click on Finish. And then we're going to click on Draft Disputes. And then we're going to click on Generate Dispute Letter, and then Continue. Now, I do want to point one thing out here. It just made this dispute. However, it made one for TransUnion and Experian because that's the bureaus that are both reporting this late payment. However, what you need to do is actually adjust these, all right? It won't actually do it automatically on Ryezing. So for example, I'm sending this to TransUnion for sure to get the late payments updated. Experian already reporting on time, so no need for me to actually send this one to Experian as that's not what I'm trying to dispute. So in this case, you can kind of disregard that, but it'll automatically generate a dispute for each of the bureaus. But I'll show you how you can mark this one as like verified as accurate and then just move on. But let's take a look at our TransUnion letter. Now, this information will be blocked out, right, for this individual, but it will show your name, your address, your date of birth. It'll have your full social. It'll also have the bureau's address that you're sending this to. Now, I really want to clarify this just to make sure that everyone understands me. You need to send a copy of your driver's license, your social security card, a picture of that. You also need to send your proof of address. All of this needs to be included with this letter. Now, at the time of recording this video on Ryezing.com, it generates the letters for you. In the future, which should be, I think, in the next couple of weeks, you should be able to send your disputes online through this platform. But for now, you want to send this in the form of a letter. It'll already make it for you. You print this out. You attach all of your personal information, your driver's license, your social security card, a picture of that, your proof of address. All of this goes into the same letter with this information as well. Now we have dispute 1, the account that we're disputing and inaccurate information needs to be corrected. The payment history or rating is incorrect. So right here, now this is what I put. The payment is being reported inconsistently compared to other consumer reporting agencies, and I have reason to believe the reporting is inaccurate. Please correct the reporting to reflect an on-time payment. TransUnion states this account was paid 60 days late in September of 2022, or you can say not paid, but TransUnion states that this account was 60 days late in September of 2022. However, Experian shows the account was paid on time. Please update this account TransUnion to reflect paid on time as the Experian report is stating. All right, so that's pretty much all that we need to state. And again, you need to adjust this to whatever it would be for you. Take a look at your report and then you'll be able to see exactly what doesn't make sense. And then you want to take a picture of that or a screenshot that will also be included in your letter. Now, when the time comes and you can send this through Ryezing.com, you can upload all this information and it'll be sent. But for now, print out the letter, driver's license, the picture or copy of your social security card, your proof of address, a screenshot actually showing the inconsistent information, and then you will send it all in one letter. Now, when you're actually ready to send this letter off, you want to click on Mark as Sent, all right? And you can choose whether you did US mail or certified mail. Again, in the future, there will be an option for you to send this off, so the option will probably be a little bit different. So let's just say certified mail, the day that you sent it, and then mark as sent. Now it'll automatically mark the Experian one. Again, we're not sending that in this situation, but it always generates all the letters that are associated, all right? So it's like an automatic thing, don't worry about it. You can add the results for this and you can just say, like, let's just say that it was updated, right? And the dispute was corrected. Let's just say that because we already have an on-time payment for Experian in this scenario. Now back to TransUnion. Once this one has actually been updated, you can add your results, you can confirm, and then you can actually say, okay, this account was updated, information was changed, updated. And then if I were you, I would just put like the date. Like if it took you until the 30th of May, let's just say the 30th of May, 2026, account was updated to paid, never late in September of 2022. I just like having all of this information so that way you can keep track of when disputes were actually done, what the result was, and then you can save the result. Now, I will be making another video where, let's say for late payments, the inaccuracies don't quite match up, like everything is consistent across the board. I've already made that video showing you how to send that through the CFPB. As I've been doing with all my videos, I will make a new one that will show you how to do that with Ryezing.com. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please drop those in the comments below. Be more than happy to assist you with that. I will probably link that other video at the end of this one just so that you have both, because in that video I give a little more detail about the FCRA and some other examples. And I believe the other example that I had was either from, could have been from Ryezing, Identity IQ, or annualcreditreport.com. But I just want to put these all in the same place so it's easy for you to see different ways that you can dispute these late payments. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. Today, I'm going to show you step by step how to remove late payments from your credit report. And this will not require you to call, and it will not require you to write a goodwill letter. This will be a documentation-based approach that will focus on inaccurate reporting and inconsistent reporting across the 3 credit bureaus. Last year, I updated this method, and I will say since last year, that method has become outdated. We will now be sending a dispute through the CFPB once again, but I also want to make sure that I tell you, because some people, I would get comments where they would say, this method doesn't work, I'm not able to submit this. Once again, all of the methods that I have on my channel, they will always work because they are based on the FCRA, that is the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which we will talk about once again. If it does not work for the mode to send this, then you can always send a letter certified. I just have to reiterate that. And again, I'm going to always say that I've gotten several comments asking me to update this. So because I've been asked so many times, I am willing to do this once more for you. Now, last year, the CFPB funding was severely cut by nearly 50%. That was in a July 2025 budget bill. That significantly reduced the operating budget from roughly $785 million to $446 million, sparking major turmoil and layoffs. It halted enforcement action, as well as the current administration trying to not only weaken the CFPB, but they seek to eliminate it entirely. However, the CFPB is still open. It's still my main mode for disputing, and you can still submit your disputes with them as well. This to me is the best route. It's the most successful, and it's the least demanding. But the reason I'm making this video is because, once again, things change. Sometimes rules get updated with the CFPB. However, you don't have to wait for me. You don't have to wait for anybody else. So once again, I'm going to show you the method where the CFPB can be used, but always keep in mind, if that option is no longer available to you, you can always just send letters certified. On-time payments account for 35% of your overall credit score. In fact, on-time payments is the biggest factor impacting your credit score to date. If you had a perfect 850 credit score and you had one late payment report 30 days late, that could effectively drop your credit score somewhere around 100 points. And that will stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. So without further ado, let's get into the steps that you can take to remove late payments from your credit report in the fastest method possible. So first and foremost, let's discuss where you're getting your credit report from. We want to make sure that you're getting the most accurate information that is crucial to this method working properly. So my first recommendation is annualcreditreport.com. Annualcreditreport.com is the only source authorized by federal law. They authorize you to receive all 3 of your credit reports, and at the time of recording this video, and I think this might be an ongoing thing because I've been saying this for like the last 2 years, you can pull your report once per week, which does make it easier for you to track your updates while you're disputing. Again, that can be subject to change, which is why I'm also going to be giving you a second recommendation. Now, my other recommendation is Ryezing.com. You can start a trial for $1. The link will be in the description. Now, Ryezing is a credit monitoring service with a credit simulator. And the reason why I like Ryezing for this method is because it provides you with a tri-merged credit report. A tri-merged credit report combines your credit information from all 3 major bureaus: Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. It will put it into one single comprehensive document, and that makes it very easy for you to review your accounts and show the credit bureaus the information that is inaccurate. You'll also receive real-time updates on your disputes, and you will be notified when these late payments are removed when you use Ryezing. That is something that you cannot do with annualcreditreport.com. It also has that trial period option for $1. So if you just want to use it long enough to grab that report, then that would be excellent. You can screenshot things and then complete this process as soon as possible. Now, if you don't want to spend anything, you can absolutely use annualcreditreport.com, but I do recommend using Ryezing so everything is organized. Either way, the goal is the same. You want a clean, readable view of the payment history for the account that you'll be disputing this late payment on. Now, I'm going to be using an old screenshot for an example. Once you're signed into Ryezing.com or you have your annual credit report, you're going to look for something like this. You'll be able to see 3 different payment histories. Now, credit reports are supposed to be accurate and consistent. That is the one thing that you are promised as a consumer. Not that it's 100% accurate, but it is as accurate as it can possibly be. But sometimes credit bureaus will receive conflicting information, like the example that we're looking at right here. So if we take a look at this report, you can see that in February of 2020, TransUnion had a 30-day late payment, Experian had a 30-day late payment, and Equifax had a payment on time. And then we look at January, and then we see that TransUnion is paid on time, Experian is paid on time, and Equifax is actually late. So just by looking at this report, you can see exactly how this information is highly inaccurate. It's not consistent. It should be the same if we're receiving information from the same source. This is what we're going to be using to dispute this account and get these late payments updated. So here's what you would do with your Ryezing credit report. You would find this and you would circle it just like I did on the example, and you would say something like, "Hey, Equifax, I'm looking at my credit report and I noticed that there's inconsistencies in the information. I'm actually paid on time in January of 2020. TransUnion has the correct information, Experian has the correct information, but your report is inaccurate. It's showing that I was 30 days late. Can you please update this information so it reflects that this payment was in fact paid on time?" Now, I just freestyle that, right? It was off the top of my head, but I'm going to give you some verbiage that you can use in this video. The point that you need to make is, hey, these 2 bureaus say the same thing. You're saying something that's wrong. More than likely, here's what will happen. Equifax will update this late payment and make it paid on time. Once that happens, Equifax will have everything paid on time for all of the months that are shown here. Now, notice with this report, there are some white spots. That's because you usually won't see the full payment history. That's the great thing about annualcreditreport.com. But when you're using other things like Ryezing, Identity IQ, things like that, they will actually show once the report is late. And that's really what we need. So I wouldn't worry about that. That's not too important. Then once Equifax updates all of this information, you will have a full Equifax credit report with no late payments. You will then use the same report and say, Hey Experian, hey TransUnion, my Equifax report actually shows that I had this paid on time in February, but you're reporting 30 days late. Equifax is right and you're wrong. Can you please update this information so that it accurately reflects my credit report that's shown with Equifax? More than likely, they will update it as well. Now, once that happens, you have fully updated all of your late payments. Now, of course, there is another scenario where you don't have these inconsistencies. I will be updating a method for that. And then the other thing I'll be doing new this year, I will have a third and probably fourth. It's not really a difference in method, but just some new examples that you can use that I have seen worked over the last few months. Now, the reason why I'm starting with this method is because it is, in my opinion, the most effective way to update late payments. Now, I don't recommend that you dispute more than one late payment at a time. Two would be the most. Two would be pushing it. I've just noticed that you receive more late payment updates when you only dispute 1 month at a time. Then once that 1 month has been updated, you can dispute the next month. So getting late payments updated, while not being all that difficult, it can be very tedious. So once again, depending on at the time that I release this video, if you don't have these inconsistencies, it is okay. There is another method for you. So now, if you've been following along with this, again, you should have a credit report from Ryezing or annualcreditreport.com. You should find these inconsistencies if they're available. If you see them, please circle them and then take a screenshot of your credit report. If you're using Annual Credit Report and you have multiple reports, that's okay. You can screenshot all three and just circle the inconsistencies. It works the exact same way. There's no problem with that. Now, before we actually go and submit this dispute to get these late payments updated, I want to talk to you about the FCRA. Now, as you guys know, I don't always update these credit repair videos because I'm not a financial advisor. This is not a credit repair channel, and I honestly did not want it to be known as a credit repair channel. So while I know that it's a problem for a lot of people, I don't want to hyper focus on it just because I don't want to get boxed into that particular category. But I do think that it is so very important that you understand what the Fair Credit Reporting Act is. This is a federal law that protects your consumer rights, and it protects you from inaccurate, unfair, or intrusive credit reporting. It also regulates how consumer reporting agencies collect, use, and share consumer information. This is the foundation of your rights. If you want to dispute inaccurate information, you need to understand how this works. This is why even if some complaint portals change, or the CFPB stops working, or the BBB stops working, or the FTC is down, it doesn't matter. You can just send letters. That will never change unless something happens where the post office is no longer working. You will be able to always send a letter certified mail. What matters most is that you understand your rights. There is no hack. There is no trick. There is nothing like that. Most people just literally repeat what they've heard that other people have said from this. I have done it myself. I read it, I interpreted it, and then I was able to come up with other ideas and methods for some disputes. And I guess the thing that people like is my interpretations and how I interpreted the law, and they've seen some good results from that. But the core idea is so simple. Consumer reporting has to be accurate, and if you notify any reporting agency or any creditor that the information is inaccurate, they have a legal obligation to investigate and correct that information if it can't be supported properly. And the burden of proof is not on the consumer. I just think that is, once you understand your rights, you understand that like you guys don't have to prove anything to these people. You're required to identify what's inaccurate and provide a reasonable basis for why you believe that it's inaccurate. In this specific method, your reasonable basis is that there's inconsistencies across the bureau. That's the whole play of what we're doing here. You're not trying to be a lawyer. You're just trying to become effective. So currently we are on FTC.gov. I'm going to put a link in the description. This will take you directly to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And I want to scroll down and show you just a few things here before we proceed. Now, there are different ways that you can dispute information on your credit report, and notice everything is actually right here. For example, the permissible purpose of consumer reports. That's something that you might want to look up. Block of information resulting from identity theft. All right. Adverse information in cases of trafficking. You probably have seen people talk about that. Disclosure of investigative consumer reports. Notice how when I talk about some disputes, I say that we have to do a reinvestigation for charge-offs. We have to ask them, hey, I want you to disclose the investigation. How did you do that? Who did you speak with? That's something that they have to provide. But I'm going to scroll down because I know exactly which part that I want to look at, and that is the responsibilities of furnishers of information to consumer reporting agencies. And then we could just click on that and it'll take us exactly to that section. Now, right here, this is very, very important. Now, the duty of furnishers of information is to provide accurate information. Now, reporting information with actual knowledge of errors. A person shall not furnish any information relating to a consumer to any consumer reporting agency if the person knows or has reasonable cause to believe that information is inaccurate. So you don't have to even have like a perfect case here. You just have to have reasonable cause to believe that something can be inaccurate. So if I pull up a copy of 3 credit reports and the information between all 3 of these reports is different, do I not have a reasonable cause to believe that this may be inaccurate? Because if it's different, clearly someone has to be wrong. I would say that that is reasonable to ask for an investigation. Now, reporting information after notice and confirmation of errors. A person shall not furnish information relating to a consumer to any consumer reporting agency if the person has been notified by the consumer at the address specified by the person for such notices, which is why I tell you to remove all personal information and make sure all the information matches on your driver's license, on your credit report, everywhere, your proof of address, your proof of residency, all that needs to match, right? At the address specified by the person for such notices, that specific information is inaccurate and the information is in fact inaccurate. It's very easy for you to prove that. And they even give you a definition. So for purposes of subparagraph A, the term reasonable cause to believe that the information is inaccurate means having specific knowledge other than solely allegations by the consumer, which is why you can't just say something. You have to always send a screenshot, right? Like you can't just say it. I'm not saying you have to prove it. Like the burden of proof isn't on you. However, you have to show, you can't just say. So other than solely allegations by the consumer that will cause a reasonable person to have substantial doubts about the accuracy of the information. And I'll just give you one more example before we get off of this. Like I had another update. Now, unfortunately, at the time that I was trying to do that update on late payments, all of my late payments were gone. So I couldn't like keep trying this myself. But one thing I had suggested was if you had late payments during COVID-19, there was a revision made just for that. So it lets you know right here that reporting information during COVID-19 pandemic, definitions in subsections, the covered periods, like there was a covered period from January 31st, 2020 and ending on the later date of 120 days after the date of enactment of this subparagraph, or 120 days after the date on which the national emergency concerning the novel coronavirus disease outbreak declared by the president on March 13th, 2020, meaning like basically after that date, from this time frame, there was a time frame where they couldn't report negative information, right? So you could have used this subsection in order to get late payments updated. And then there was a duty to correct and update information here. So again, like when people tell you all this information on YouTube, this is all that you really need to do. Literally everything is in here. You need to use this. All of the rules, everything that you can do is right here. No one has any special trick. No one has any special hack. No one knows anything that you can't figure out yourself. It's all here. You can read it. You can interpret it. And if you don't understand it, there's so many AI tools now. Throw it in the Claude. Throw it in the Gemini. Throw it in the Chat GPT. Say, hey, interpret this and tell me how I can use this information to update late payments on my credit report. It'll give you the most effective way that you can possibly do it. And then the next thing that you do is try. Worst case, it doesn't work, you try again. That is the only really like thing that is about credit repair. The law is always up for interpretation. You can't give a 100% guarantee that everything will work every single time. But if you do this long enough, you will find an effective way to update late payments. So I'm sorry if this was long, but I just want to like prove to you that There is nothing that you can't do on your own. Everything is here. No one has any special videos or special methods. And I'm just giving you the methods that I got from here that are the most effective that I've seen not work a guaranteed 100% of the time, but work most of the time. All right, now let's move on to exactly how you would send this dispute. All right, so currently we are on the CFPB, that is consumerfinance.gov. You can Google that. I'll also put a link down in the description. Now, what you'll want to do is scroll down here and you'll want to click on start a new complaint. Once you do that, you'll be prompted to either create an account if you don't already have one. And if you do have one, then you can click on already submitted a complaint or created your account. Once you click on that, you'll be prompted to sign in. And then the sign in screen will look like this. You'll enter your email, your password, and then you'll get logged in. Now, the first thing that you do when you get logged in is look at the top right-hand corner. There'll be a blue button that says start a new complaint. You should be on this screen right here, and then you'll click on credit reporting, and then you'll click on credit reporting again, and then you'll click on next. And then what type of problem are you having? You'll click on improper use of your report, and then which best describes your problem, and then you'll go to reporting company used your report improperly. And have you already tried to fix this problem with the company? Yes. Did you request information from the company? Yes, I did. What information did you request? And you're going to put a statement proving I was late on my account. And then did the company provide this information? No, they did not. And then you're going to click on next. And then on the next step, you're going to say exactly what happened. And you can use verbiage similar to this, but I would try to change it up just a little bit. Once again, you could throw it into ChatGPT, put it in your own words. It doesn't really matter. Just try to change it up somewhat. Now, I recently reviewed my credit report and noticed an account that was not reporting accurately. I had a late payment on an account that was in fact paid on time. The consumer reporting agencies need to report all information with complete accuracy. The account has not been late on payments. I've attached a copy of my credit report to this complaint on the following dates. You will then insert the date, and that will show up as the month and the year. I demand this payment be updated to paid on time. You cannot report information with knowledge that this information has errors. I have substantial doubts about the accuracy of the information. Please update this account to paid never late. And then you can even add something like shown on my report. Let's say Equifax, that was the one from my example, right? And you don't always have to like do this. I'm just doing this like really quick just so that you have an idea. Equifax shows paid on time, but TransUnion shows late. The other report is right and this one is wrong. So that's just like a quick example of something that you can like just throw together, right? You can add that at the very end. So just like something, just add at the very end, like this shows late, but in fact, it was actually correct on this one, but not on this one. And then you can go to what would be a fair resolution and like update the late payment on Equifax to paid on time, never late. Thank you. That's it. And then we'll attach our documents. Now, this is very important. You need to attach a copy of your driver's license, your social security card, your proof of residency, right? And then you need the screenshots of your actual credit report. Now, this is very important. Like, I know it's like, I feel like it's like understated. You want to update your personal information first. Make sure you remove any old addresses. Make sure that the address that you use for proof of residency and your license and this account, they all match. You know, you want to make sure that all the information there is accurate. You're going to upload it here, right? Driver's license, social, proof of residency, and then the screenshots of the accounts that we're disputing. And then you will click on next. Now, my recommendation is going to be, because with the CFPB, what I like about it, you technically can submit all disputes at the same time. However, when we just wrote that, I wrote that as if I was sending this specifically to TransUnion about Equifax. What I would recommend is that, I know it's easier, don't just send it to all three. You want to kind of modify that, right? Where you go back, copy your verbiage, but then change TransUnion to Experian. And then if you want to, with, you know, vice versa, you can also then turn around and say, hey, Equifax, these other two bureaus show that this is in fact paid on time, but you're late for this other month. You kind of see what I'm saying? You would then just flip everything to make sure that it goes whichever way that you would prefer. So for this example, let's just say that I'm sending this to TransUnion. And like, once again, you don't have to just send this to TransUnion. If it makes sense, then you can send it to all three bureaus at the same time. You'll then check this, and you'll enter the last four of your social. You'll enter your date of birth, and then you'll also enter your name as it appears on your credit report. Now, if the verbiage actually made sense and I didn't want to have to send three of these, I could also add Experian. Like, you can make it to where it's deliberate enough that it can apply to all three. But if you want to get more specific and you want to say, I'm specifically talking about this bureau, then you'll want to do this 3 separate times. And then you could say Experian, and then yes, the information. Again, you requested a statement showing that you were late, right? You didn't get that. Did the company provide that? No, they did not. And then you would enter the same information here, right? Same thing. And then you would enter your name as it appears on your credit report. And then again, if you wanted to add the final one, Equifax, in this situation, that wouldn't make sense, right? So I would just say no and then next. Now, I'm not going to actually submit this right here. The last thing you want to do is click myself, and then you'll have a review page. The review page allows you to actually just look over everything and make sure that it's complete, it's accurate, and then you'll be able to send your dispute. Once you send this dispute, you'll be notified by the CFPB via email that it has been sent over to the company. And everyone gets this, okay? It always says it will be 60 days for this to be resolved. Look, you'll get a response from the credit bureaus in about a week. And that's why you don't look to the CFPB for updates on your dispute. Think of the CFPB like the post office. It's just used to send the dispute. They are not going to update you in real time about the status. That's not going to happen. You need to actually either download Ryezing, use that app, you'll get notifications, you'll see that, or you'll need to wait for letters in the mail, or you'll need to wait for some sort of notification that there has been, like, they have to legally notify you of a dispute. Once you're notified of that dispute, normally within like 7 days, the dispute is resolved or there has been a change. It can take up to 30 days. I normally don't see that for late payments, but just know that it can take up to 30. And then you'll receive either an update, and you'll probably notice that because your credit score will increase, or you'll be notified in some way, form, or fashion, maybe through a letter. And once that happens, you know, great. If it doesn't happen and they say it's verifiable, then I have another video that I'm going to follow this one up with. In fact, I'm going to link it right here. More than likely, this one will be out beforehand, but if you don't see it here, at the end of the video, I usually will have them linked in some way. So if not, you can go to my YouTube, search the magnifying glass, look for late payments, and then you'll find it. Either way, it'll come up. It'll probably be after this one. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. Once again, I'm going to be having another update to the previous method that I had already presented to you guys, and then I might do 2 more videos on updated late payments from some things that I have seen by working with people during one-on-one coachings. So it's not my firsthand experience. These 2 methods that I've shown you are my firsthand experience. I will be providing some other experiences that also may work for you in different scenarios and examples where you can try like different verbiage. And again, every scenario won't apply to everyone, but if it does apply to you, then it may actually be something that you can use to remove late payments if this doesn't happen right away. Now, if you don't get a late payment immediately, the follow-up is always to ask for a reinvestigation and ask them to provide you with proof. It's very simple. I've gone over it a few times, but I will go over it once again for a follow-up from this one in the next video. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments below. I really try to be as thorough as possible, and I will try to get to everyone's comment if you do leave it. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day.